What's up, guys? I'm Dan the Man, and welcome back to another week of Firehouse. I'm so pumped.
Hey guys, we hope you enjoy this week's video.
So guys, we've had some really cool responses so far with in the comment section and just people messaging us about the videos, and we encourage you to continue to do that. Just comment down in the description how you've been finding the videos, what you like, what you don't like. Message us privately if you need anything. We're super keen to respond with you guys.
If you didn't see our notice about Into the Sun, just know that the leadership team are talking so that we can figure out what we can do to make something still happen.
So guys, I'm so excited for tonight. I hope you enjoy it. It's going to be such a blessed time. God is really going to move tonight. I'm so confident.
And don't forget to like and subscribe, and we hope you enjoy the video.
Never have I ever. Third one. Never have I ever fallen out of a tree.
Sure. I don't know. I don't think so.
I
I'm just gonna take a guess.
have scars from this. And
What is this?
Never have I ever fallen out of a tree. Okay, so a couple people have fallen out of trees.
No, let me say never.
Wait, sorry, Daniel, how could you, if I fell out of a tree, I would not be confused about it. I would know. I would know that I fell out of a tree.
You know.
Well, I don't know. Like I've climbed in a tree, you know, and I've hung from the branches and then sort of fallen, but it wasn't anything major. So.
But you fell from a tree.
You were in a tree, and then you were no longer in a tree.
Or maybe I jumped onto the branch and landed on my back or something. But it wasn't like I was climbing the tree and then I just fell.
Okay, all right. Never have I ever flown in a plane. Who has never gone anywhere?
Ron is the only one who's never been in a plane. That's so epic.
you know, I ride the bucket all day long.
Next one, Ross, I'm excited to hear your answer here. Never have I ever eaten Brussels sprouts. Let's go. Never have I ever eaten Brussels sprouts.
It was disgusting. I hated every minute. Yeah.
How?
Disgusting. Would not recommend.
Now, Ross, do you just hate it because your dad hates it, so you feel like you have to hate it, or do you
no,
actually
you see,
like it?
I knew they were going to be bad because, I trust my father, and then I had them, and they were bad, and I thought he was going to disown me, but we were good. But it's disgusting. Like eating eraser, it's disgusting.
Okay, and Sharon, are you and I the only ones who've never eaten a Brussels sprout in our lives? Fantastic.
Never
Yeah.
Oh,
it's weird.
Tim, you
I've never eaten it. How do you know it's bad?
Yeah.
I know.
No,
I always say I eat everything
How
except
do
for
they
Brussels
look
sprouts.
even?
I've never had them.
Yeah.
I don't want to try one, so.
You know what? Daniel,
It's not a bar.
Flanders, you just said well, if you've never eaten them, how can you know they're bad? I mean, if I go online shopping, if there are enough 1-star reviews of something, I'm not going to buy that thing. There are enough 1-star reviews of Brussels sprouts for me to know I don't need to try them. I don't need to try them. Also, it looks like a small cabbage, and cabbage is bad on its own. So I imagine a small one. I imagine a small one will just be even worse. Okay. All right. Now,
Logic 101.
Yeah. That's logic. So, okay. From here, some of them might get a bit personal. And by personal, I mean maybe you might not want to be so honest about them. But I do need to know the truth from you. And number 2, some more detail about them. So, next one. Never have I ever
Hey guys, we're gonna do some worship now, so it's just a vibe, have a good time. There you go. We're heaven spun creation, His pride in adoration, treasures woven by His love. His careful hands, they hold us, safe within His promise of calling and of destiny. And I will sing of all You've done, and I'll remember how far You carried me from beginning till the end. You are faithful, faithful to the end. A father's heart that's for me, a never-ending story, love that's always chasing me. His kindness overwhelming, and hope for me unending. He's never giving up on me. And I will sing of all You've done, and I'll remember how far You carried me from beginning till the end. You are faithful, faithful to the end, until the end. There wasn't a day that You weren't by my side. There wasn't a day that You let me fall. And in all of my life, Your love has been true. And in all of my life, I worship You. There wasn't a day that You weren't by my side. There wasn't a day that You let me fall. And in all of my life, Your love has been true. And in all of my life, I worship You. Oh, oh, I worship You. And I will sing of all You've done, and I'll remember how far You carried me from beginning till the end. You are faithful, faithful to the end. And I will sing of all You've done, and I'll remember how far You carried me from beginning till the end. You are faithful, faithful to the end. I've tried so hard to see it, took me so long to believe it. To choose someone like me to carry Your victory. Perfection could never earn it. You give what we don't deserve, and You take the broken things, raise them to glory. You're my champion, giants for every battle you've won. I am who you say I am. You crown me with confidence, undefeated. In the heavenly place I am seated, the one who has conquered it all. And now I can finally see it. You're teaching me how to receive it, that all the striving cease. This is my victory. You're my champion. Giants fall where you stand undefeated. Every battle you've won. I am who you say I am. You crown me with confidence. I am seated in the heavenly place, undefeated by the one who has conquered it all. When I lift my voice and shout, every wall comes crashing down. I have the authority that Jesus has given me. When I lift my mouth and shout, miracles start breaking out. I have the authority Jesus has given me. When I lift my voice and shout, every wall starts crashing down. I have the authority Jesus has given me. You're my champion. Giants fall where you stand. I am seated in the heavenly place, undefeated by the one who has conquered it all. You're my champion. Giants fall where you stand, undefeated. Every battle you've won, I am seated in the heavenly place, undefeated by the one who has conquered it all. By the one who has conquered it all. And I take the bread of life, broken for all my sin. Your body crucified to make me whole again. And I will recall the cup poured out in sacrifice to trade the sinner's end for your new covenant. Hallelujah. And I live my life in remembrance. Hallelujah. Your promise I won't forget. Now walk salvation's road with fear and trembling. Your acorn as my own, as Christ is formed in me. Hallelujah. Now I live my life in remembering. Hallelujah. Your promise I won't forget. If ever I should lose my way, if ever I deny your grace, remind me of the price you paid. Hallelujah. I live in remembering. You've been so, so good to me. You've been so, so good to me. Oh, to think where I would be if not for you, if not for you. You've been so, so good to me. You've been so, so good to me. Oh, to think where I would be if not for you, if not for you. As far as heights reach from the depth, as far as east is from the west, so far your grace is carrying me. Until I see you face to face, until at last I've won my race, remind me I'm not finished yet. Hallelujah. I live in remembrance.
How's it going, Firehouse family? Really excited to be with you guys today. Again, it's another week, another Firehouse online. And just before we get into the message today, I want to share a really exciting announcement with you. And that is that Lighthouse Family Church have got a brand new podcast online. So go onto our website. It's called the Shedding Light Podcast. You can either go onto our website and find it there, or you can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcast. It's also up on our SoundCloud account, so you should be able to get to it. It's really cool. We've got one episode up so far, but we've got a few more in the pipeline, and we're just hoping that this is going to be an exciting new way of getting content to you guys, a little bit of a deeper conversation, and yeah, hope you guys enjoy that. So getting into the message now, we came to the end of our series last week, looking at God's love for the world, and God's love for us as well. And we should have a firm grasp on the mission by now. If you tuned into any one of our last videos, you should by now have a firm grasp of this mission, and that is that you and I are called to do our very best at demonstrating the same love that Jesus demonstrated on earth. That's the call. That's our mission as Christians, to love our neighbor. And our neighbor, as we looked at in the first week, can be fellow Christian brothers and sisters. It can be our enemies, the oppressed. Anyone is regarded as your neighbor. So we know the mission. to love one another. But today, I wanted to share with you the how. Because very often I think we know what we're supposed to do, but how we do it is a different story altogether. So today I wanted to share with you the how. How do we do this? How do we demonstrate a love that is different in this world, that is different from what the world is showing us? By choosing counterculture. By choosing counterculture. Now, my thoughts for this message came after having a conversation with our young adult community group on a Wednesday, on Wednesday night, just talking about what our mission is as Christians, to be separate from the world, to have a different response to the world, to be counterculture. So what is counterculture? For those of you who've never heard that term before, this is what Google says, okay? A counterculture is a culture whose values and norms of behavior differ substantially from those of mainstream society, often in opposition to mainstream cultural characteristics. A countercultural movement expresses the ethos and aspirations of a specific population during a well-defined era. So it's in a short and summarized version of that, it's going against what the cultural norms are in our society. It's going against what we see in the world. Now, history has defined countercultures as being things like the hippie movement in the 1960s, the feminist movement throughout the decades. But what does it look like for us? Because the world has defined counterculture as one thing, and it's often seen in a negative light. But for us, we go to Romans chapter 12, verse 2. This gives us quite a nice idea of what this looks like. So join me in Romans chapter 12, verse 2, where Paul says this: "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect." Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Paul was calling on Christians to be counterculture there. Do not conform to the patterns of this world. Do not just go along with what the world is doing. Be counterculture. So we have a clear challenge in this passage to move against the ways of the world, to move against what we see in the world. But to what extent? To what extent do we do this? When does being counterculture actually cause more harm to our witness? Because you and I are called to be a witness in this world, to be a light in this world, to carry that message of love, to carry that message of peace and unity into this world. But when does counterculture, moving against the way of the world, actually cause more harm to our witness? See, if you've been in church for long enough, if you've been a Christian for long enough, if you are aware of the world's view of Christians and the world's view of the church, you would know that the church often receives a lot of hate in trying to be relevant. This quest to be relevant is, for most churches, kind of something that's on the forefront of their mission. This quest to be relevant in this world. And it's this awkward balancing act. We're trying to be relevant in the society that we're in without conforming to the standards of that society, without conforming to this world, to the world standards. And it's easy for us if you're not directly involved in ministry. So for me, for instance, I work at the church. So for me, this is something that I'm dealing with all the time. But for those of you who are maybe not involved in a ministry of some kind, you might not be thinking about it, but in your own life, you're playing with this balancing act, trying to be relevant as a Christian at your school, in your friend group, wherever you find yourself. You're trying to be relevant, but you're also trying as a Christian to not go by the same standards as them, to hold to a biblical worldview. So it got me thinking. How do we navigate this balancing act as Christians? How do we do this thing where we're trying to be counterculture, but not in a way that is going to like harm or damage our witness? And this is what I think our action should be. Now, please bear with me while I read this, because I didn't want to get any of these things wrong. This is what I think. Very few people care about the fancy lights, the big budgets, or the great coffee. Very few people care about the comfy chairs, the Instagram captions, or how many aircons we can fit in one room. Most people care about what the church has to say about the poverty on their doorstep. Most people care about what the church has to say about issues of injustice. And everybody cares about what the church is doing to make a difference. So what does counterculture look like then? Kingdom culture. That's what it is. We did a whole series on this at church. Counterculture for us as Christians is kingdom culture. Responding to issues in our world today in the same way Jesus would have responded. You see, if we look at the life of Jesus on earth, I said this in our last series, that when Jesus was having that interaction with Philip, and Philip said to Jesus, "Show us the Father, and that'll be enough." And Jesus said to him, "How can you say that? If you've seen me, you've seen the Father." So Jesus' actions and behavior on earth perfectly demonstrate the heart of the Father. And when we look at Jesus' life on earth, we see that Jesus did not care about the quality of the bread or fish, just that everyone would be fed. That's what he cared about. Jesus did not care about the comfort of the bed he slept in at night, only that he could wake up every morning and make a difference. Jesus did not care about the reputation of people like Zacchaeus, the tax collector, or the Samaritan woman at the well. He cared that they were souls in need of salvation. So guys, we know the mission, to love our neighbor, and we know how to respond the way Jesus would respond. So guys, when we come up against issues of injustice, unless you've been living under a rock, man, you would have seen what's been going on in the world today. And when we come up against issues of injustice like that, we respond with love in the hope that it will bring unity. We don't respond with fire. When we see those in need, we don't wait for an organized mission outing before we do something about it. We meet the need there and then. When we come into contact with those who stand against us, with those who may not have the nicest things to say about the church or Christians, we don't respond in kind, but with kindness and compassion. When we see fellow Christians, this is a big one for me, guys. I want you to hear my heart here, and I want you to take this seriously. When we see fellow Christians who have stumbled on their journey, we don't gossip. We don't judge their behavior or decisions. We stand alongside them, lifting them up and encouraging them. So guys, let's be a counterculture. Let's fight for a kingdom culture. Let's be the Christians that God expects us to be. I love you all. I can't wait to see you. And until next time, just stay safe, be encouraged, and be the Christians that God expects us to be. I love you.
Let's bow our heads in prayer. Thank you, Lord, for that amazing message that Kieran just brought. Lord, I'd like to thank you for the fact that even though we can't meet in person and we can't meet in a church building like we normally would, that we can still come together online and we can still praise your name and we can still listen to your word as a community and as a youth group, and that we can still continue to grow through these trying times. Lord, I pray right now that the words can just resonate with those who are listening, and that they can bring out the counterculture to what the world is telling them, that if the world tells them to do something, that they can spread the message of love instead of hate, and that they can just show others through them who you are, and that they'll know who you are through spending time with you, Lord. Lord, I pray right now that you can help us to just meet with you on a more regular basis, Lord. That even if we've already got a time with you every day, that it can not just be a time that we put aside as a chore, but the time that we put aside because we want to do it. It's something that we want to do. So Lord, I pray right now for all the hearts listening that they can just pursue you, Lord. They can pursue your love. They can pursue your peace and joy, Lord. And that it's not going to be a chore to listen to this. It's not going to be a chore to read their Bible or put on their own praise music, Lord. But that it's something that is guided by you. And it's something that you have put in our hearts to do, Lord. So Lord, I pray right now that everyone listening can be encouraged and walk out into the world and show everyone your love and who you are. In your mighty name, Lord. Amen.